Hey everybody, today Rahdo revisits his top 10 favorite game designers. And what do I mean by that? Well, welcome to the show everybody. About 5 years ago, I sat down in front of a camera in another part of the world and listed out my 10 favorite board game designers at that time. Now, if you want to check that out, you can hit that eye up in the top right corner of the screen. And here's the thing, I stand by that list. A lot of the folks on that list would be on my list today, and I figured 5 years on, I should talk about some more designers, but I don't just want to rehash. So, consider this an additional 10 designers that have popped up on my radar that are all about getting me so excited to get new games to the table. And here's the deal, folks. 5 years ago, I did this alone. Very sad and alone, but today I'm not alone. Just in time for the holidays, it is Mr. Jeremy Howard. Hey Jeremy.
Hey, party people. How you doing, man? Thanks so much. This is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Because it was you. It was only you and Ricky Royal that really got me going into this gaming industry. I follow you for so long. As a matter of fact, you helped me in my very first year of becoming a content creator, which is so interesting. And I mimicked your stuff, and still some forms today. I still do. So it's just a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. You do a fantastic job ever since you started out with John Belaya. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I kind of pushed a few things your way to help get you going. But since then, you've hit the big time and you've joined Man vs. Meeple, the MvM channel.
Oh boy.
And you are basically their resident solo guy, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. Okay, this is interesting.
Okay.
Of course, I don't always play solo games, right? I have a game night. We cycle in guys. I'm covering all these games. I go on so many podcasts, so many video shows, and that's why you're seeing me pop up a lot, because I cover a lot of games in different spots, educational games, family weight games. I cover Euro games on a Eurogame site, and then I go to Duke of Dice Tower sometimes. All kinds of shows where I get to show all these different games, but I do have a following for solo play because that's what I do the majority of for Men versus Meeple. Yeah. And that's actually where I have like collaboration the most is in solo stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm a very much an Omni gamer. I think this list is going to show you how much of an Omni gamer I am. You're like, really? Because also I should preface this. I got back into gaming around 2015.
Okay.
So I don't think we're going to have the same, I have new sheen on me. I still think I have a shine on me. Now I play like 200 games plus a year, but I'm just saying I have a different polish on me. Which is interesting to hear that you don't like the same, you haven't budged 5 years ago. That's crazy.
I am written in stone. I am an old curmudgeon. I know what I like. And it's weird. I mean, I think I have adapted and evolved a bit over the years, but I'd still say just die hard, ride till I die, Euro, hardcore, economic, dry, crunchy simulations. That's what I love. And while there are a bunch more, I feel the industry has shifted over the last 5 years to kind of come around to my way of thinking because there are more and more of what I love every day, and there are fewer and fewer. Things are always morphing and changing and all of that. But yeah, those guys I talked about last time, still some of my faves. But what I decided to do today is talk about 10 new ones. And actually, I don't know how you made your list. I had a really hard time doing it because... Yeah, I thought, I went on Board Game Geek and just got a list of how many games do I have from various designers. I thought that was one way to do it.
Yeah.
And Stefan Feld came out on top, and he came out on top 5 years ago. Right. And so that worked fine. But then Reiner Knizia was my number 2, which really surprised me.
Whoa.
And I love Reiner Knizia, but I never get excited about a new Reiner Knizia game. I just always know I'll like it.
So, that's another thing. So this is what my list. I'm going to tell you, the person who designed my number 1 game of all time, right there, Mage Knight, is not on this list because I don't really even play any of his other games. I find them okay, but I almost feel like if, let's say you were a fan of Freeman Freeze, you play Power Grid and you just thought the rest were, okay, right?
Right.
That's how I feel about it. It's there was definitely a height, and for me, the rest was just all right. Or Kevin Little back over here. He's made my best, Kevin Riley and Nick Little, sorry. They made the best deck builder ever to me. Aeon's End is I don't have them on my list because they made the same game. Like in a sense, they made the same game, right?
Right.
So it's like I have these criteria that I had to like try to stay consistent, but it's not. And I think it does represent like I do just play a lot of games, so it makes sense when I got down to it. Like even Keith Mateka, like I didn't even put him on there. I love a lot of his stuff. Shem Phillips, I didn't put in his stuff. Like this, it's just crazy.
It's tough.
I'm coming down
10
to 10
is hard.
Like, yeah, 10 is 10. Lower.
I should say 10 is so hard that I am going to cheat because I've got another 20 or so I want to talk about.
Yes.
And backers of my show, go to patreon.com/Rahdo. We'll be able to see that additional list. But I did have to get it down to these 10 new ones. Ultimately, the best I could come up with is I ultimately decided, well, hey, if I hear there's a new game coming from X, how excited am I?
Yes.
And that was my ultimate order. The lowest person on this list, I'm excited, more excited than normal, but the number one on my list, I'm apoplectic with enthusiasm and excitement. So this is really, these days, putting aside my original 10 I did 5 years ago, these are the guys, and sadly, guys, it's 10 guys, which is a sad reflection of our industry. Although I will be talking about some lady designers in my other one because there are some really great up and comers.
There's some really good ones. There's some really good ones.
But these 10 guys are I will not stop until I have whatever they're putting on my table.
Yeah.
All right. So are you ready to go?
I'm ready spaghetti. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, folks have no idea. It took us an hour before we hit record.
I mean, we're just
there were many hurdles
we are really
to getting here.
I think we've gotten past all, even though we talk like every Wednesday, but like we've gotten past all the new pleasantries of a weekend. Now it's time to talk games. Let's talk games, man. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. I'm
well,
ready.
then let's start. I'll go. And then you'll go, which means I'll be the first in, you will be the last out at the number one. My number 10 current most exciting designer is, a surprise to me, Andreas Steding.
Okay. You're going to have to explain to me.
Yes, he's been around a long time. And, he's put a lot of designs out, but he really made a name for himself with Hansa Teutonica.
Okay.
Which came out, not quite a decade ago, I think. And that still, to this day, stands as probably one of the premier, beautifully designed Euros that have ever come out. It is so perfect and flawless. But I have to admit, I tried Hansa Teutonica and several of his other games back in the day. Nuremberg was another one that I was really intrigued by and liked a lot of stuff. But back in the day, when he started out, he did not care at all, it seems, about the two-player experience. Okay. And the two-player modes of his games were tacked on or really problematic. But, and which is why he did not even come close to making my top 100 5 years ago.
Wow.
But since then, over the last half a decade, he has been putting out games where he has put a lot of love and attention into the two-player and brought some of the best Euros I've played in recent years. Stauffer Dynasty, Firenze, and most recently Gugong, which... Gugong was one of my top 10. Was it 2 years ago it came out? And then the Pan-June expansion, which is just now coming.
It's amazing. Oh,
it's so good. And early next year, I'm looking forward to playing a prototype of his next, Stroganov. And I realized...
I'm there.
Yeah, when I found out, when I thought how excited I was about Stroganov, which is, I believe, set in Russian turn of the century Siberia or something like that. I realized, okay, I have to put him on the list because I am beside myself with enthusiasm. And 5 years ago, I would have said, Andreas, who? Oh, right, the Hansa guy. Yeah, he's not for me. So he's a rocket for me, making it to my number 10 slot, Andreas Steding.
You know what? And the thing is that up until you said that, the Gugong, no idea. And you want to know why? Once again, talked about this. Coming into game industry 2015, there's just like, some of it goes over my head and then you'll say, oh, this game. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the thing is, haven't played Hansa Teutonica, Firenze, but I played the heck out of Gugong. Like it is one of those games that I stick out my neck for. And when that Pan-June expansion, as you can see behind me, came, I was like, woo, it's at another level. I played that prototype to death. All right, so I actually think I threw the components in my box from the prototype. I was just like, no, I'm keeping it.
Because you loved them so much you couldn't part with the prototype.
Some prototypes, man, and some of them are so good you keep, right? So it's just like I keep them until the final. So that was that one. Mine is and this guy, I feel like he has a big reputation. Actually, a lot of these guys who have a huge reputation are not on my list, which I'm sure that'll be like, really? They're not on there? Martin Wallace is on my list as number 10.
I thought long and hard about putting Martin Wallace on my list.
Yes.
It was kind of pulling teeth. I felt like I am obligated, because he is such an important grandfather, but still active and working and pulling out exciting stuff even today. So why? Why Martin Wallace?
So I have a weakness for card games, card games. Like, slick card games, trick-taking card games, just use cards in the fun way. I love button shy games because they have 18 card games like that work,
Martin Wallace is about as far away from button shy as you can get.
Yeah. So it's like, when I play Martin Wallace games, he does stuff with multi-use cards that I just love. Like, I love it. I love the choices that I get to have to make, in London, which is, it's just like, what am I doing with these cards? Like, oh, yes. And what was the other one? Lincoln. Oh, my gosh, that's such a cool game. What you're using these cards for, you got to go through this deck, but you can't defend too long. And it all balances out where there's a turn in the tide of the battle in your deck, because it changes what cards you put in there. And then all of a sudden you like feel the thing of like, this is weaker and this is stronger. I was like, this is everything I want. And then Wildlands, which is one of my favorite games. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Wow. Publisher asked me, did I want to cover the solo one that's coming up with that? It's another big box. I'd never want to stop playing that game. Like, I wish we played it more. It's so awesome. Martin Wallace is just such a smart designer. I really appreciate multi-use cards done right.
Okay,
he does them right. Yeah, I just thought of him right away. I'm like, slick card games. I always say that, slick card games, and he makes
that is interesting. I never thought. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
A Few Acres of Snow. Yeah. It's a card game. It's a deck builder. And you're right. He does. And now, so you're mostly talking about his more modern stuff. Although, I mean, our entire industry is fairly modern. Right. But you know what I mean. What about Brass and some of his older must-play classics?
Never played Brass.
Wow, you put him on the list having never played Brass.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to find this stuff and you're going to be like, like, there's a cutoff. Yeah. There's definitely a cutoff.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm not interested in playing Brass or Hansa Teutonica or anything like that. It's just like, I hit the ground running from 2015 and I was going, like,
Yeah.
I hit the ground around 2015. You'll see. You'll see. You're like, oh, this guy's new. All right.
Well, honestly, this should match my list then, because my list is about stuff within the last 5 years as well. Yeah. Have you played Anno 1800?
No, I was actually going to import it. I was going to import it. I was going to not wait and just import it. I probably am, because I want what I want. So I probably am. I'll figure it out, as I say. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I figured out the crew last year, German. I'll figure it out this year, so I'll probably just order it. I can't wait that long. It looks.
I know,
so
it's
good.
driving me nuts. I mean, I think it might be. It could be the top 10 of the year for me. I think, but I'm just going based on what I've seen, and I don't know when we're going to be able to see it over on this side of the pond.
And I know that's going to be months. He's got Rocket Man coming up too.
Yep, Rocket Man was another really sharp card-driven game. Yeah,
it's even though I do a lot of research, rule book reading, and things like that, he is one of those guys that I'm really just kind of weak for. So I got to watch it a little bit just before I dive in too much. But just because he's so good with cards, man, I love that.
Well, that's
I appreciate
the thing. The fact that you say that you haven't played Brass, because Brass is one of the original multi-use card games.
Yeah,
he was doing it before it was cool.
All right, well, you know what's going in my cart today.
There you go.
I got first world problems tomorrow.
All right, well, that is an excellent start. I am excited to see where your list goes. But I'm going to continue now with mine. My number 9 has already been mentioned on this show. It's Mr. Shem Phillips.
Shem.
Yes.
Shem.
Although I have to give a huge shout out to his frequent design partner collaborator, Sam McDonald.
Yes, Sam McDonald, yes.
Yeah, because Shem's been plugging away at it for years. And and he had some good early stuff. And Raiders of the North Sea really put him on my radar. I had played Plethora, and I forget the name of it, but he had a fairly neat little cooperative rondel game. I can't think of it now, based on some series of books or whatever. Okay. But Raiders of the North Sea really allowed the industry to see what he could do. But then that was followed on by joining forces with Sam, who brought in the Architects of the West Kingdom design, and then the two of them have been pursuing more West Kingdom stuff, and it's phenomenal. And I considering how excited I was to play Raiders of Scythia, which is basically just a reskin of Raiders of the North Sea, made me realize, okay, I'm really in love with this guy, and I've got to see what he does next. But with a shout out to Sam McDonald, who is sometimes his co-designer.
Yes. And that's why.
And I have to give a shout out. I don't know if you played Noctiluca.
I have not. Yeah.
Oh, forget about Azul. I will play Noctiluca 7 days till Sunday before I will play Azul. That is an
aggressive statement,
lovely,
sir. That is a very
charming,
aggressive statement.
No, it is.
No,
it
Shem.
Is. And I said
Shem was the reason why Shem is not on this list is because I kind of was up and down with him. And I started with.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with New Zealand or something like that.
So no. I loved back when I first started back in the hobby. That was around where Raiders of Scythia came out. I mean, Raiders of the North Sea came out.
Or North Sea, yes.
So I chose that one over was it Champions of Midgard, and then I played the heck out of that game, and then after that, Explorers of the North Sea was okay. Then that won the Fields of Arles thing, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure how I feel. And then it came with the Architects, and it just went up. It went way up. And then he's making just some of the best designs, like I said, with Sam. And then Raiders of Scythia. I mean, to me, it's just an awesome game. It's actually a way for people who did not play Raiders or people who like Raiders, and it's just let's put all the expansion stuff in there basically and weave it into the design, and then add some awesome new stuff to it. So yeah, I was like, you know what, I love this. Oh, and what's the dice game? Why am I not thinking of it? Circadians Alike. So
yes.
Too. So it's
which I believe Sam is the lead designer on that.
Okay, he's the lead. So yeah, so Shem it was just that. It was the names. We talked about this before. We were talking about if 2 people are involved, how do we choose? And it was kind of that thing. And that's why I was kind of like,
I should say for folks, by the way, when we talked about what is the function of this list, one of the big things I did, and I did this 5 years ago too. So many of these entries could be, well, it's these 2 people working together, and honestly, I thought that was almost kind of a cop-out as a way to, I can squeeze extra designers in. I don't have to stick to a hard 10. So 5 years ago when I did this, I wanted to put Kramer and Kiesling, but after much consideration, I put Kiesling. Because Kiesling's work by himself versus Kramer's work by himself just spoke to me more. Okay. And really, this is kind of a Shem and Sam, but I think of the 2 of them, I mean, I think Sam has made Shem elevate his game. Because he was making nice stuff. But now the 2 of them working together are absolutely amazing. And you're right, Circadians, was it just Circadians? Or
yeah, I believe it's just Circadians Alike.
Yeah, is an excellent dice drafting game. But yeah, ultimately right now I'm sticking with Shem with a nod to Sam as my number 9.
To Sam. I like it. You did it. You did it right.
Yep.
So my next one is definitely recent. Just fall in love with him. I call him the god of tiling. He is Scott Caputo.
Scott Caputo. Oh, man.
Yeah, he is the god of tiling.
That's a good one.
The things he does with those combo building of tiles is just, and it's you know what it is? He is to me, he is the the instant feedback designer. I place these tiles and then we get this. Oh, but you get an extra combo on the first turn. Okay. So then we come to the next turn and we built this other route. And it's I get this, and this. And because I connected something, and this potentially. And you get this feeling when you play his games. I mean, pick them, but Whistle Mountain that just came out, you get this feeling right away. Instant feedback. Whistle Mountain, instant feedback. The 100 Tory, low key. People need to play 100 Tory.
That's an excellent, beautiful little tile.
Low key. And then Sorcerer City, which...
the real-time one, yeah.
I love intensity in games. As much as I'm an Omni gamer, so it's there's certain games I need to get riled up. I need to get going, get my blood going. And this is that game. I was just I was a little on the fence. I was and as a matter of fact, I think you sent me that prototype a long time ago. And I was eh. And then I played the final game, and I was just oh my gosh, he just figures it out, and he gives me the kind of feedback I like. A lot of players like to be rewarded. They don't like the slow play, right?
Yeah.
This, you don't have to wait long when he's part of the design. You don't have to wait long.
Yeah, you are right. I mean, he is so focused like a laser on tile laying, and what can I do different from game to game? I don't know if you played his older one. You're probably not. Voluspa?
No, I have not. No, not
Voluspa is an excellent little abstract, building tile laying to a communal area thing with what's it, a Norse mythology theme, all about Odin and Thor and all of that. That was a really, really good early game from him too.
Huh. Yeah, I have to. That's the thing. Like, maybe I'm just one step away, right? I was just one step away on the Scott Caputo. Like, I just think I'm gonna own all his games, so that's just how it is. Like, I'm not worried about where his next design is, and like, they just got better. That's the thing. They just got better, and this year is proof of that. Yeah. He's at 3 releases this year, and they're all awesome. And I'm just trying to figure out a way to get them all on a list somewhere. So yeah,
that is definitely a strong statement. Wow.
Yeah.
And he's really sharp. Yeah. Another thing I'm going to be doing, when I was making this list, and I ended up with 20 that I want to talk about, but I'm not going to, so I'm going to do that as a Patreon-only video. I'm also going to do another one of up-and-comers.
Oh, man.
And he and his co-designer on, Mountain, Luke Laurie, are both on my up-and-comers. I'm so excited. They haven't quite... I don't explode with excitement, but I know it's going to be something special. That's where he is for me.
Think of it like this. I think your up-and-comers are
going to be... Yeah.
I think so. But they truly are. They truly are. There's just people I've been in, like I said, the last 5 years, hit the ground running, and I love them. I love everything they do.
Okay, that's a good number 9. Okay, well, we're going to move on then to my number 8. We're going to stick with Scott's.
Okay.
And this one shocked me. If you had told me 5 years ago, I would have said, no, that's not possible. The Tiny Epic Kingdom guy? The Tiny Epic guy? Wow. Scott Almes makes my top 10 favorite designers.
Scott, okay.
And again, this is my top 10 in terms of how excited. That if somebody tells me there's a new game coming from this designer, how I will devour everything I can about it. Yeah. And here's the deal. 5 years ago, with all the Tiny Epics he was doing, I thought, wow, these are really sharp. Some of them are, Tiny Epic Galaxies, and for me, Tiny Epic Defenders were really phenomenal. The other ones weren't necessarily for us. Yeah. And he did a few other games. What was it? Tasty Minstrel's Harbor, which is basically Tiny Epic Le Havre. So he'd done a lot of really good stuff there. And I really appreciate it, but it's not like he got me super duper stoked excited.
Yeah.
But more recently, I think as he has kind of stepped away from the inherent constraints of a Tiny Epic game, which for folks who don't know is a series of games he does where he packs a whole game's worth of stuff in a tiny, tiny little box for Gameland Games. But more recently, well, first of all, I was really surprised by a card drafting game he did, was it 2 years ago? Maybe last year? Called Boomerang.
Boomerang. Okay.
Jen and I loved Boomerang to
people
death.
Love Boomerang too.
So that really impressed me. And then earlier this year, I didn't plan on playing it, but it showed up at my door. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. What's the harm? Warp's Edge.
Yes.
Which I know...
I want to have a very deep discussion about Warp's Edge at the end of the year.
I think we might... Yeah, I mean, Warp's Edge is
It's not the first time you heard me talk about it, right?
It breaks my heart that there's not a co-op mode. I hope Renegade goes back and says, okay, Scott, we need to get a co-op version of this now, an expansion, because it's amazing. But then, what I consider to be his masterpiece now, Cosmic Colonies, is so phenomenal. I think it is in my top 30 games of all time now. Mm-hmm. It is in my top 10 games for the year 2020.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is game on game. He has been showing such an insane jump in the depth and the brilliance of his designs, and it's just getting better and better and better with every one. And I've been excited ever since I heard about So You've Been Eaten. I just love the idea of that. This is an asymmetrical 2-player game where one player is an astronaut that's been eaten by a space slug, which is the other player, and the two of them going head to head. And then when I heard he's got another game coming out for 2021 called Silicon Valley, and I'm like,
oh, really?
Okay. I mean, and when I realized, based on Cosmic Colonies, how excited I am. I mean, he's just been a workhorse. He has been putting out tons of games for a decade now, and I mean, he's finally won me over. Really, Cosmic Colonies put it over the top to where I realized, I'm really excited about a Scott Almes game. And so he's my number 8.
I was up and down with him too with the Tiny Epic stuff. One of the first games that I went into solo with was that Tiny Epic Galaxies. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I kind of was picking and choosing which ones I wanted to try out, and I was kind of off the train completely. And then all of a sudden, in this past year,
yes,
I mean woo hit.
Yeah.
Woo hit. I mean, I liked Tiny Epic Tactics a little bit, but this game, Almanac, have you played Almanac?
I forgot to mention Almanac.
Okay.
That was the other
Almanac,
one. That was the fourth one of
Warp's
this.
Edge.
Of the last 4 things you've done have been so bonkers fantastic.
Let's not be too recency based, but geez, if it's great, it's great. I mean, he's had good, very good games. Good, very good, right?
Yeah, he's always been solid, but he has just been building, and he's just on this insane acceleration curve with the quality of his designs. I mean, Almanac, I don't even know if it's available yet. I played a prototype when it was on Kickstarter.
No, I have the Almanac right here, so it must have just became available. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's what I forget what it was, like 12 different worker placement games in one box. It's an incredible achievement. It shows a level of maturity that, I mean, just the distance he has traveled. I just have to. I mean, I'm super stoked.
And I'm big on evolution of design. Like I like seeing you're going to see that on my list actually in a second here.
Well, then
with
continue.
My number 8 is Brian Suhre. Okay, Brian Suhre
is again on my list of up-and-comers.
Yeah. He has to be. He's just gotten better and better and better. And what he's gotten better with is Rondell. So he went from a pretty innovative at the time. I think it was like just around the same time with a freshwater fire, a cold water crown. So that was another one of my favorite ones with that kind of worker placement twist, which I really liked a lot. But then his designs got better. You got the freshwater fly, Winterborn, and then the true, like, this is who I am design is Dark Merchants, like the Merchants of the Dark Road. It is truly like, this is me. Like, this is my design.
What does that mean?
Like, to me, I don't know. Like, it was like, I saw bits of that game coming. Like, eventually, I was like, he's getting better at this Rondell thing. He's kind of got this worker placement thing going on. He knows how to make a thematic game in a sense. Like, I feel the theme in what he's doing. So it's like, well, now let's do it all together. And I feel like that game represents him as where he's at as a designer. Like, he's grown. And I think it is his best design, which is good. Definitely. You hate to be like, oh, this one's a dud, and this one's okay, and then this one's down. To be great, right, amongst the greats. You kind of want to have a consistent of being like, boom. And no matter how you feel about those games, like, the designs got better as they went along. Of course, some people don't like fish games. I get it. But, yeah, he's just gotten better, and I really, he's just one of my favorite designers. I look forward to his next release. I just do. Yeah. Like, Winterborn, by the way, low-key, very good game. Like,
yes, very sharp. Really slid under the radar. Man, I don't think it got much attention.
Dude, it's such a small publisher, but man, that game, that's the real deal right there. Yeah, that's how I knew. That's how I knew. That's how I knew the next game was going to be great, because I was like, this game right here is really smart. And then he took some of that stuff and he just made it so much better. And of course, with Elf Creek behind it, with their sexy bits that they add. Maybe that was wrong. We got a family show here.
Well, if you've seen Honey Buzz, there's no denying it. Those are some sexy bits.
Right. Squishy, sexy bits. All right, so Brian Suhre, number.
No, that is a good one. And yeah, Merchants of the Dark Road, folks really need to watch for that. I mean, it's not out yet, right? It's coming in 2021, I assume.
It's coming in 21. But both you and I really both like that game a lot.
Yeah, we were both blown away by when it was on Kickstarter. Yeah. All right, and another good one. And really, so he is one of your 10 favorite of all time. How do you I mean, you're just kind of going by feel. I think you're kind of going by the same metric as me. What am I most excited about the next thing from a person, right?
Yeah,
and you are that excited about Brian Suhre, for sure.
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, I think he deserves it because, Dark Road. Mm-hmm. I love how you say it. Basically, it speaks to you. It's like he made it for you.
Yeah.
Basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to go a little bit older, but not too much older. For my number 7, I would be very remiss to not include Ryan Laukat on my list. And maybe he's going to make yours. I'm not really quite sure where you are, but I mean, Near and Far, Above and Below, Islebound. 8-Minute Empire, which it's very rare for Jen and I to find an area control game we really dig, but that 8-minute series, the fantasy one is the one we have, is so phenomenal. Rome was really cool. I cannot wait for Sleeping Gods to show up. It's apparently in the mail right now. And even when his games, they didn't quite work for me in Jen, like City of Iron or Ancient World, I was still so blown away by he always, for every one of his games, he takes just fairly bog standard mechanisms we've seen in a lot of other games, but just finds interesting little ways to give it a little twist that just suddenly makes you completely rethink how you feel about that particular plus he is on the forefront of integrating dry, dusty Euros, which, as I said right up front, is what I love, but really bringing warm, thematic, narrative-driven content and melding those, and not just being an Andreas Steding who just loves his dry, dusty Euros. And I love dry, dusty Euros, but I love that Ryan is bridging that gap. And then on top of that, he's one of the best artists working in board games today as well.
He is.
And that has nothing to do with his design, but it does not hurt. I mean, he's pretty much a one-stop shop doing everything. So he's literally a board publishing miracle.
Yes, he is.
And I'm just absolutely blown away. And he's also just the sweetest, humblest guy you will ever meet. I've run into conventions a couple of times. And so, I mean, whatever comes after Sleeping Gods, I want to be there on day one because I know it's going to be something really special. Everything he does, there's no other word for it. They're really special.
So the thing with Ryan Laukat, first of all, like I have, because I do see a lot of the business side of this game in the industry, I respect some people who do the work that they do. Not only has he pulled off some of the biggest games of all time for some people, right? But he's also been known as he has a high reputation. His art is just as popular as his games, if not more, right? And he does all that, and with his wife, I believe, and they just,
Melanie,
I believe. That to me, that's great as a human being. But his designs, I've played them all. Get rid of them all. Yeah. So
then you're off the show.
So no, you're funny. But the thing is, here's the problem.
Okay.
I think he is a genius designer. I think he's a genius. Mm-hmm. There is no denying that he is a genius. And what I do like about all of his designs, and he creates, like you said, not necessarily always innovative, but you're in this world.
Yeah.
You're in the world that he has created. Mm-hmm. You want to be part of the fantasy. It's not left in the side. Through his art, through some of the things you're doing, it always feels like an adventure in his games. And that's something I do crave. It's just that certain designs didn't stick with me long enough, or I kind of moved past them. But I believe, just like we just got done talking with Brian Scher, I believe that this will be his best game. Sleeping Gods.
Sleeping Gods,
and I am on board. And it won't be the last time, because he's just a genius. To me, I want to try all his games. But, I just know that I've come this far, and I'm thinking, maybe I should go back and try, Islebound, or maybe I should go back and try, Near and Far was just I had so much belief in it, and then it didn't work for me over time. But, I think this is the one. And the MvM team was really big on it. They're this is the one. I think this is the greatest. His design. I'm all right, man. All right. So we'll see how it goes. I'm pumped. I'm pumped about his stuff. I don't have less hype. It's just that's where I'm at with him.
Yeah.
I just reached out to him because I was so excited about his title. So there you go. I just did this week. So.
Well, if it's not Ryan Laukat, then who is your number 7?
Oh man, nobody, no slouch at all. Isaac Childress,
Wow. Okay.
Isaac Childress is the designer of my second favorite game of all time, which is Gloomhaven.
I thought you were going to say Forge War.
No. Well, you won't believe it, but that is one of my top 20 or 30 games of all time.
Forge War is an amazing game.
I got it as a gift, and I hugged that man who doesn't like to be hugged because it was great. All right. If you know Ryan Metzler, formerly of the Dallas Dice Tower, you know what I'm talking about. But he's so funny. He's a great man. But he gave me that for my birthday because I loved it so much at game night, Forge War, and I just do you live near him? Yeah, he moved here. He lives 5 minutes away from me.
Oh wow, okay.
But interesting enough, here's a thing that tied us together. You are the reason I bought Gloomhaven. You're the reason I did. So I'm thinking you again. I had to think I was like, you know what? Actually, I think it was 2017. You had a lot. You actually had a couple Gloomhaven videos, I think. And I think so. But I remember at the end of that year, you were like, Gloomhaven is my most anticipated or something. There was a video like that.
Yeah.
And I watched that video over and over again. And I was like, I know I did. I watched it over and over again. I would never do that. But it's I watched it over and over again. And I was like, this is everything I want in a board game. And when I got it, it was everything I wanted in a board game. The use of cards, his smartness, like his math is through the roof. And if you ever meet him and play a board game, it's not even worth your time. Like, it's actually not worth your time. When you want to play a game with Isaac Childress, pick a party game. Do not pick a game where anything else, it's not fun. He'll crush you. It's not fun. He wins all the time. But such a nice man. But his design is these cards, once again, like cards and what you can do with those. Really smart. And like that is something that speaks to me like no other. But man, Forge War is just another one of those things where I'm just like, man, I just respect that kind of stuff. And he's just so great. I'm looking forward to Frosthaven like no other.
Let me ask you, how do you feel about Founders of Gloomhaven?
Founders of Gloomhaven, not the best design at all. I actually, it's not a bad game. It's just not. I just didn't like it that much. It was just an okay game. It was an okay game. I call those games. I either call them okay, I call them okay, or I say good but forgettable. Like, it's, like you play so many games in a year. Like, honestly, like, what is Founders of Gloomhaven memorable? Well, if it's on sale for half price, sure. But like, it's not. It was a design that was built around this hype, whether it was him or it wasn't him. He doesn't do.
I don't think so. I think he tried very hard to ensure.
Let me retract
people, this is not another Gloomhaven.
Yeah, that is not.
Gloomhaven is in a tiny font. Founders is the big font.
Right. Like, people did that for him. And it was a.
And then they didn't get what they expected. Yeah.
Right. And they didn't get what they expected. But it's interesting. He could actually make that design better, which would be interesting if he ever went back to it. But he probably won't. But yeah, what a genius.
Oh, you mean you have inside information that he kept working on it?
No, I'm just saying it'd be interesting if he went back to it.
Oh, if he were to go back.
But
well, he's only 5 minutes away.
I know. No, I'm not talking about Isaac Childress, but that was Ryan Metzler. No, Isaac is not anywhere near me. I don't know where he lives. I don't know.
Oh, that whole thing was talking about
Ryan Metzler.
All right, okay.
Yeah, Ryan Metzler of the Dice Tower. I don't know where. I don't even know where Isaac lives. So,
I want to say Indiana, I think.
Right. That's why I see him at every one of those Gen Con and
exactly.
and Origins. But yeah, and I've just played games and I'm like, this is a waste of time. I'd rather just play some silly part.
By which you mean because he is a living human computer.
Yeah, he's a computer.
As a player,
I understand that. Genius. Yeah.
So obviously, Gloomhaven is my number 3. It's my number 3 top rated game of all time.
Yeah.
I did not put him on the list because I thought, okay, I'm excited for Frosthaven, but that's effectively an expansion for Gloomhaven.
Yes.
And I tried to think if there were an announcement that Isaac has a completely new game, that's not Gloomhaven, I thought, well, how excited would I be? I would be interested. I would definitely be there, but I don't know that I'd be breaking down the door to check it out. So that's why he didn't make my personal, even though he has made rightfully, it is the number 1 ranked game on Board Game Geek with very, very good reason.
Richard,
it's my number 3 game of all time.
This is the one guy that I had to go. It's not one game. Mm-hmm. He had Forge Wars, right? So Forge Wars is
and Forge Wars is fantastic.
But he made a game with so much magnitude, like it so connects with me that I had to have him on there. And he's not, as you can see, he's not in the top 3, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I just can't leave him off the list. And I do see those games as different product lines to me. Even though they're in the same universe and they use the same card system, Jaws of the Lion being a little bit more closer to exactly Gloomhaven. To me, Frosthaven feels like more Gloomhaven, but it feels like an evolved design of Gloomhaven. Like it means like, hey, I learned from these things, and I'm gonna hit you with the best version of that. And to me, that's just a different game. Like, oh man, those characters in that game are ridiculous. Oh my gosh, you got something to look forward to. If you pre-order Frosthaven in any form, get ready. Get ready. Yeah.
All right. I cannot argue with that. Because Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven has fundamentally changed the industry.
Yes, it has.
And so a very good choice. So that was number 7. Okay, then my number 6, another guy who's been around for a long time, has done some really big stuff, but lately I've been falling in love with his designs more and more and more. That is Mr. Thomas Lehmann. Tom Lehmann to his friends, and of course. What he will always be known for is Race for the Galaxy.
Yes.
which is, I mean, I'm sure you played it if you,
Yes.
Based on your love of card games and multi-use cards and all of that, and it is deserving of all the praise it ever got. But it's been around for a long time, and he didn't make my list when I did this 5 years ago, because it just based off of race. I mean, I thought race was fantastic.
Right.
I think race is better with more than two. The two-player,
Definitely.
I like how it's implemented, but it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But since then, we've had Roll, which, to be fair, is not his design. He's basically the co-designer on it. But still, he brought it. But then we have New Frontiers, basically turning Race for the Galaxy back into the board game in which it came from. And Jump Drive and the City, either one, whether you want city building or whether you want Space Empire building, those fast little filler games that are just so insanely compelling.
Yes.
And then what else was it? Oh, there was Favor of the Pharaoh, which I think is a remake of an older game he's done. He has done so many games, so many. I mean, more games. So many of his I haven't played. But also, he's Mr. Pandemic expansion. He takes Matt's Leacock stuff and takes it to the next level repeatedly. But all of that combined with Raise Arcana is what makes me so insanely enthusiastic. Because Raise Arcana, I think, is probably one of the top 5 games that have come out in the last decade. It is so perfect.
It's such a slick card game. I have to give that game another chance.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I have to, actually, there was nothing wrong with that game. Then my friend kind of explained to me how you could win every game, and it kind of made sense. And I can't remember what it was, but he kind of explained to me, he was like, this is what you would shoot for generally, even with a bad hand to start out with. And it usually works out to a good win percentage. And I was like, oh, really?
I suggest Kai post on Board Game Geek because there are few designers that are more active on Board Game Geek than Tom Lehmann.
Oh, trust me. Yes, I know.
For good or for bad.
Good or for bad.
But Kai should definitely post that because I'm sure Tom will have something to say about it.
He will. He definitely will.
Yeah. But I think that design is so flawless. Even though it wasn't for me and Jen, because it had a little bit more cutthroatedness, I was so in love with just the brilliance of that design, and it makes me so excited so sad that we did not get Dice Realms this year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which was his next game. He's doing a big game with snap together dice.
That's right. Yes. Yep. I remember that. I remember that from early in the year. I'm like, is that coming? And I think,
and it's going to have more dice faces than anything else, than Dice Forge or all the other ones that have come out. So, I mean, this is as much a doff to a cap for his legacy and his importance to the overall evolution. But putting all that aside, the last 5 years have just been absolutely amazing for him.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't not have him on the list. So he's my number 6, Tom Lehmann.
Okay. I got to say this.
Yes.
The designer is my friend. We live in the same city.
Okay. Oh, you're a number 6.
It sounds, I don't want to blow his head up, but I can't. I can't help it. He's good. I make fun of him. I think he's going to be amongst the most known designers if he continues at this pace.
Yes.
Because his designs wow. You know what? Stop it. Stan, you know what? I don't want to blow you up too much. Stan Kordonskiy. Okay?
Yes.
Stan Kordonskiy. You know what, Stan? I can see it in your eyes already while you're watching this video, if you are. Stan Kordonskiy, biggest designer in Milwaukee. Anyway.
No, Stan's saying, hey, WTF, why am I not at number 1, man?
I know. He's great.
Oh, he is on a tear. Spoiler alert for the video that most of you won't see, he also makes my top up-and-comers. He might be my number 1 or my number 2 up-and-comers.
He's just he's so smart.
Yeah.
Oh, like Dice Hospital was just the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, that was nice. But it showed promise.
Yeah.
But he has so delivered on that promise since then.
Like, I don't think people understand. It's like just up, 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 up. Interestingly, I remember when he was gonna. He wasn't. It was like a game that was in his cycle of design, Endless Winter, and he was like. I remember we were sitting down having a drink, and he's like, I got this card game, it's prehistoric kind of deck builders thing I've been playing around with. I don't know if I'm going to give up on it or not. Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. I remember we play tested the game together, and it was called Dice Chefs. It actually was about chefs. back then. Yeah.
Wow.
What was the
That's
other
a bit
one?
of a switch.
He had a game. He actually had a game with Long Live James Matthey.
Yeah.
He had a game with James Matthey that was a really interesting take on the like that Manhattan Project energy, Manhattan Project stuff. He just has every game. Oh my gosh, he's got this one. It's like it's like a GTA-ish type game. I don't know what he's doing. That design, he just has. They're so smart.
Yeah.
And well researched too, as well. Like if he does some theme, he actually is like trying to lean into the theme.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's just like, and that's why he doesn't always go for thematic all the time. But he just does. He gets it. He just gets it. He doesn't like to slip on that kind of stuff. He doesn't like to paste stuff on. He's a very, very critical person of that kind of stuff. Man, just great.
Yeah, I can't fault that at all. What else?
Yeah, just
he
great.
did a TMG. Was it Impresarios of the Old West?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or did it Pioneer Days? I forget which one he did.
So Old West Impresario. One of the most
Old West Impresario, yeah.
So underappreciated. So underappreciated.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I try to explain that to people. I'm like, that's the thing. You're thinking about Ruick, which is... Whew. But
yeah, Ruick is his big magnum opus at this point.
But... At
least until Endless Winter comes out.
Endless Winter is going to crush that.
Yeah.
That's how great his design is. Like, he's going to crush that. But, like, that small game, man, what a smart little... Yeah. I remember playing that one with, like, pennies and stuff. And, yeah, it was interesting. It's interesting to see how these games come along, and I'm lucky to be part of seeing these big designs come to life. But, yeah, he's impressive.
Excellent choice.
You got to keep him humble, though. He's not like that, though. But I just say you got to keep him humble, man. His head is largening as we speak.
So you're saying I should take him off my top up and comers?
Don't do it.
Okay, yeah. He has definitely earned that spot for me.
I appreciate it.
Totally, yeah. Endless Winter. I mean, I kind of feel bad for it because here we are at the end of 2010, and Arnak and Dune.
Yeah.
Imperium are getting all this. Look at this amazing melding of deck building and worker placement. We've never seen anything like it before. And meanwhile, Stan Kordowski's hold my beer.
But that's the thing. It's like that was the thing when we were Alex from Board Game Co. Same thing. We were talking about this, and it's like they all came out at once, but the one that's the best is coming out next year. So it's like like when he did a video, he compared all three because I was just like. You have to because it's crazy how good those games are, but that one it's just better. Like if you played all three, you'd be like, oh man, I want that one. So yeah, it's interesting. Before we move forward, I want to make sure I don't cut this video up, and I want to make sure we get lost. I'm going to stop this, and then I'm going to stop it. Make sure.
Oh, are you recording with a?
Yeah, I want to make sure
DSLR
we're good.
Camera?
Yeah, I don't want to lose anything. So let me make sure everything is tight. I don't want to cut it here, and then we'll come right back.
All righty. All right, everybody, we are back. We are at the halfway point. Jeremy has cleared out some hard drive space because apparently he's recording with a DSLR camera, and that makes big files. So you just want to be on the safe side.
Gigantic files.
And not for nothing, Stan, in case you were curious, we spent the last 10 minutes continuing to talk about you while he was transferring files. So I'm still wondering why did he only come in at number 6? But it must mean your number 5 is even more spectacular. Yeah. But let's start with mine. My number 5, actually, I don't think has quite the same pedigree as some of the others hasn't put out quite as many, but he has still made such an insane impact on the industry as a whole, and certainly on me as a player. It's John D. Clair.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yep. I so fell in love with Mystic Vale. And I know it's not for everybody. It's kind of a Marmite game. You love it or you hate it. Jen and I love it to pieces. But then he followed that up with Edge of Darkness, which apparently was his original design. Okay. And publisher AEG said, yeah, this Edge of Darkness, this is maybe a bit too big to start out. How about we just do something a little bit smaller? And that's where Mystic Vale came from. But, Edge of Darkness is fantastic. And in the meantime, Space Base completely exploded. Everybody loves that game to pieces. And then this year, he's had he's had one big, really amazing game. I don't know if you've tried Ecos.
Yes, it is definitely,
so good.
Definitely.
But sadly, it didn't quite make it. Everybody has to wait until early next year. His new magnum opus, his best game yet, is Cubitos.
Cubitos.
Or Cubitos, or however you pronounce it. Man, that game is amazing. It is so next level. Although, to be fair, and he gives credit where credit's due, he is building off the design of David Short, the automobiles game.
Yes.
But he has so taken what was already a really fantastic game and just knocked it out into the stratosphere. And the thing is, these games I just talked about, there's such a wide range in what he is doing. And I haven't even talked about everything. He's got a big pirate game coming. I forget which one. There was a lot of pirate games that came out this year, and apparently it really blew up on Kickstarter. Edge of what? No.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now.
There's a picture of it on screen.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you, but as we were talking, there's basically just pictures of all the board games of these people on screen. So yeah, I'm really just super duper impressed that he shows such a range. It's interesting. Well, you mentioned earlier Vladimir, that your favorite game of all time is Mage Knight, but none of the other ones speak to you. It's because Vladimir has an incredible range.
Yeah, he does.
He rarely does the same game twice. He's always doing radically different things.
I respect range.
Which makes sense why Mage Knight, which is a real departure for him, but everything he does is a departure. It's kind of starting to feel like John D. Clair might be going that route as well.
Yes.
Yes. Just because of the variety I'm seeing in his designs. He could have stayed because what's it? Mystic Vale, Edge of Darkness. What was it? Custom Heroes, I think, is a little dueling game. And he could just be pigeonholed as, I'm just the guy who came up with this crafting card thing, and I'm just going to keep on. And the crafting card is in his pirate game as well.
Smarter,
but I think he's got
smarter and better every time. But whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
That's smarter and better every time. But everybody's just saying you're making the same card stuff. I'm like, it takes a lot to make sure those games are good. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. But honestly, he could just keep on doing those. Right. But the fact that he's not, that he is doing other stuff, I really respect that. And all of his games, even when they didn't 100% work for us, I still hugely respect the design that goes into them. I just think he's super sharp, and he is another rising star in the industry right now. But for me, unlike the rising star, which will be the list I've talked about but I haven't done yet, he, as far as I'm concerned, he has arrived.
Yeah.
When Mystic Vale came out, he arrived for us. I mean, that I wouldn't be surprised if that makes Jen's top 20 of all time. If I could get her to do another top countdown like that, and I love it to pieces too. I couldn't not have John D. Clair on this list.
I can't not agree with you because those AAG guys, that team, those games that they keep coming out, Santa Monica this year.
Oh man!
All these, this is all their stuff that they have with those two names on the box, John D. Clair, and what's the name, and both of them, David Short. Just good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. I can't even argue with that. I can't believe I actually didn't consider that, by the way.
Oh!
I didn't even consider them.
Are you going to throw Martin Wallace off to make room for John?
Yeah, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know why I didn't consider that. All right.
Well, he will find you.
I don't know how I didn't consider that. But
hopefully you've got something good for your number 5.
This is a big swing.
Okay.
Right? Because he's made 2 Titan games for me.
All right.
And that is Luke Laurie. Okay.
Yeah. Luke Laurie is also on that up-and-comers list I keep talking about.
When you make 2 great games.
Which 2 are you talking about?
So mine is Manhattan Project Energy Empire.
Yes.
And now Dwellings of Eldervale, which could be a little Laurie. I mean, a little recency, maybe a little too hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Could make its way into my top 10 games. It could.
Wow. Those are strong words.
You know what it was? You know what it is? It's the bases that make noises. No.
It's so for folks who don't know, it's a miniatures game, and apparently, I don't know if you can get these anymore. If they were only for Kickstarter backers, the miniatures have little bases that you move them around, the monsters around. They make little roar sounds, like from an 80s Mattel toy or something like that.
Richard, it's not needed, but it is because we're 10-year-olds inside. But anyway, he just made 2 very, and then Whistle Mountain.
And Whistle Mountain, is also good. Yep.
Those 2 are up for my game of the year. I don't even know which one's going to be. I have those 2 designs and another one. I don't even know which one. I don't even know. And I thought to myself, this man is who, this is it. This is like a designer for me. And really nice guy too, by the way. Oh, and, sure. Really nice guy. And I just can't express, Manhattan Project NG Empire was one of the games when I was getting back into board games. It was one of my favorite. It was in my top 5. It was just one of those things when I was getting back in, that was it. That publisher, Menu Games, is local to me, so I got to play their games a lot. And it just never died off. I pull it out, and then I have, interestingly enough, I'll show this to you, and I hate that.
Don't you do it, you monster.
Recently, I showed it. Okay, hold on a second.
I know what you're going to show. Although apparently you weren't prepared to, even though this is your list.
I hate to say
you did not have your props prepared.
I'm one of the few people who owns this. This is the expansion, and I honestly, I hate to brag about it because it makes this game so great and unforgettable in the history of board game to me. Like, to me, it's everything. And then you come off that, and then Dwellings of Eldervale, which sounds like a disaster when you explain the design. Like, if I explained all this stuff that's going on there, you'd be like, this is a disaster. And it has minis. I hate minis. Area control, kind of deck building, hand management, tableau building, energy. It's like, dude, take that back to play testing, all right? That sounds like garbage. And it ends up being great, And when you play, we talk about Scott Caputo, and we're talking about, now we're talking about Luke Laurie. Like, when you play Whistle Mountain, you feel both of them in it. You feel it.
Yeah.
You feel both of that designs combined, and that's why that design is so great to me. It is a great game. It's not a good game. Will it stand the test of time? We'll never know, but we won't predict the future. But those games that he's put together in his catalog very early, for me, it's great. It's kind of hard to, it was hard for me. I'm like, I don't want to give this guy top 10, the top 3, but Jesus Christ, man, those are like 3 great, 3-4 great
He is
designs.
on fire.
He's on fire. Slightly on more fire than Stan Kordonskiy.
Ever so slightly more. And he won't stop letting Stan know about it.
I know. I want to watch it. I'm going to tell him to watch this.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a good choice. Like I said, he is also on my up-and-comers. I suspect, I would not be at all surprised if in 5 years from now, he's on my next update for it. Because, Energy Empire, that's in my top 20 of all time. And Whistle Mountain made my top 10 of this year. And I haven't played Dwellings because at the end of the day, the area control kind of scares me away. Okay. But I've heard nothing but amazing things about it.
That's too much. You gotta fight those urges inside of your body and just enjoy the game. You really got to fight. I'm serious. Like, even in 2-player, it's really nice. It's still mean,
when they first contacted me about covering it for Kickstarter, I read the rules and I thought, wow, this sounds like it'll be something really special. But I'm gonna have to pass on covering it. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe I need to rethink that. We'll see. Time will tell. Come on. But it's an excellent number. That was number 5, right, for you?
Number 5. Tough crowd in the chat. I'm just predicting. tough crowd in the chat. Who is this guy?
Right, folks. There is no chat. We are not recording live at this point.
That's just me.
Jeremy just does so many. He just assumes he knows what the chat is going to say.
Chat's on.
All right. Okay. My number 4. I don't know if you're going to recognize this guy's name, but I'm super impressed by Stephen Ostby.
What did he
do? I need to make some games?
No. Name the game.
I first became aware of him with Escape: Curse of the Temple.
Okay.
And then after that, he also did a fantastic Automania.
Yeah.
But,
there you go. That's why I'm... Yep. Okay, now yes.
Yep. And those are both fantastic.
Yes.
But the things that really put him onto this, most exciting of all time is when he works with his frequent co-collaborator, Elif Svensson.
Okay.
And the two of them have given us Santa Maria, the magnificent... Avenue or Kokoro Avenue of the Kodamas and Trails of Tucana. Those two guys working together. Although of the two of them, I compared both of their gameographies, and it was really Escape and Automania, which are both amazing as well. That made me of the two of them, I'm going to give it to Steven. But really, this is kind of a co-thing for Steven and Elif. Santa Maria. I just want to
be clear. I only want to interrupt you for this. Every title you said, like as you said it, I was just like. That's probably one of my favorite designers now, and I actually blanked out. When you said that. I was like, The Magnificent, right? Because that's one of my favorite games. It is just.
So that's the thing. There's something about him. I didn't expect you to recognize his name, even though I expected you knew his games.
Yeah.
And him and Elif, I should say, because like I said, they are really at the hip as designers. Same as Sam and Shem and all the rest of it. I've been progressively more impressed by every game they have done. I've got the snow expansion for Magnificent. I'm anxiously waiting to play it.
Don't you dare!
I could go get it and wave in front of your face, I suppose.
Stop talking about it.
But some of us are more classy, so I will not do that.
Yeah.
I've just. Escape Curse of the Temple just came out of nowhere and became one of Jen's favorite games of all time, and really a super thing for me too. But still, people just don't know his name, and I'm not quite sure why. I guess he just is really low key. He just keeps, and I should say he's done a bunch of other games too. I mean, a lot of people love the Lux games, LUX, which are a series of card games. Those didn't really hit for me because they were a little kind of quasi-soft confrontational stuff. But Stephen Ostby, my number 4.
It seems like maybe I'm just making this up. Seems like a lot of Essen releases, which can always get buried.
Yes.
Like the bigger, it's just like the bigger names. It's a thing, right? If your releases come up Essen, people at Essen are getting them. Some people may know about them, but it's like by the time some of these games get to the States, and mainly I say this about the Magnificent,
and you know what? I'm actually going to correct myself. Maybe one of the reasons I said his name wrong. It's not Stephen Ostby. It's Kristian Ostby. I was thinking, this doesn't sound right. Why do I keep saying Stephen? I know that's what I wrote down over there in Notepad. I just checked. No, it's Kristian. Kristian Amsdensen Ostby.
Yeah.
Did that change it, or do you still not recognize his name?
No.
And we should. He should be heralded. I mean, everybody should be super stoked whenever another one of his games, or he and Elif's games, are announced. And yet, I mean, I know he's got a following, but
with that catalog, really yes. Yeah. Okay, my number 4.
Right.
Big surprise, big swing for you. You're gonna. I'm looking you dead in the eye, and I'm ready for this. Okay.
All right.
Right in the windows of your soul through webcam.
Okay.
These two, I had to staple them together.
Oh, you're cheating. You have to pick one.
I had to.
Pick one.
There's no way to discern if they're put like this. There's no way to discern. You'll know why in a second.
Okay.
It's the Carlson brothers, Josh and Adam, who have designed Too Many Bones. Okay. They've given me.
Okay. They are one. That is true.
They're one. They are one.
That's like trying to pick which of the Sadler brothers.
Yeah. I mean,
fair enough.
Good designers, one does one more, but they are together. They're just together.
Yeah.
I mean, Too Many Bones is top 5 game for me. It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's a great design. They always seem to come up with these ideas that even when I was not on board in the beginning, I become a fan of even more. Cloudspire is just such a man.
Now
what
that's
ambition!
The MOBA one, right? That's their newer.
That was
MOBA
their
design?
big. That was their big. Yeah, that MOBA. I was just like, I didn't even want to try it, and then I saw the vision right before they had released it, and then I was at Origins, and then I saw it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm on the journey. Like now Adam. Now I've turned from fanboy to friend, and like.
Oh, okay.
And I tend to not cover their games.
That seems to be a not uncommon occurrence on your list, I have to say.
Yeah, but I don't I really don't cover their games a lot because I just whatever. I just can't like I'm a fan of their stuff. So it's just like man, what a designer! Like what a team. And they just have a good group of people around them, but they produce some good stuff. Even with this burn cycle, it just seems like, oh my God, they're trying too much. This is over here, that's over there. This game needs this and that. And it's just like, in the end, based on their product, their final product, I'm all in.
What is Burn Cycle? I haven't even heard of that.
Burn Cycle is their new game. It's kind of like an espionage game that's built in this kind of this new futuristic universe. You play as kind of like these stealthy robots that are fighting against the humans. Now, cool part is like this is a reverse Renaissance. So it's the humans made the AI, the AI came back and found a way to bring back the humans, but now they are like trying to take out the robots. You are actually these little robots that have learned how to figure out a way to kind of like get through these scenarios and things like that, but they still have control through the burn cycle, this kind of thing where they don't have control over all their abilities and stuff. They have to like kind of work together to do it. And it's got this side network board where you can kind of like be viruses and go through there and fight off against this.
Wow.
It's got all this, like I said, they do ambitious stuff. But
why didn't I cover Burn Cycle?
Well,
I haven't covered any of their stuff, really.
It's just
for folks who don't know, if you're on my channel, those are their 3. Their biggest one was Too Many Bones, which is a Gloomhaven-esque style fantasy cooperative adventure game, but it's all driven by dice. It comes with a bajillion dice, and it's really crunchy.
Asymmetric dice.
It's all about combat
dice. Everything.
With super unique characters, but tons of crunchy computational combat driven by dice.
Yeah.
And then the MOBA game is basically players facing off, sending out troops to attack each other and stuff like that.
They figured out a way
with dice again
for people who don't like dice games to love this game. Like, the game is built around the design, Too Many Bones, is built around the design that the bad dice can be saved to trigger future abilities that are even better than some of their actual abilities. Like, who does that? You know, no re-rolls. You don't need to worry about all the re-rolls. Like, hell no, take those bad dice, store them away, and then do something really cool later on. You know? Just great people.
Yeah, someday I need to cover Too Many Bones, definitely, because they did contact me, but at the time I said no, nothing to do with the game, but I was just kind of exhausted.
Yeah,
I think they contacted me right when we were in the process of an international move 2 years ago, and I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I don't know, maybe I pissed them off because let's not talk to Rahdo. He doesn't like our stuff. And like,
no, that's not true.
I suspect it's really good. I need to try
They're so nice. They don't care. They want to work with more people, and that's good. They want more people to know about their games, and they're not without flaws. The rule books, are tough, but they definitely have a great community. So if you're one of those people that takes a leap, it's an expensive product. I don't tell people to buy games that are $125. I tell people to do some research on the games that are $125 and then come back and see. But they have such a supportive community that you can have all your questions answered. So, and they're there too. So, anything that's off. I just support people that are like that. They support the people who spend this money on their luxury games, and they are there. They're readily available every day. So,
did you cover Burn Cycle?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
yes,
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, it's a beast of a game.
I completely slipped behind the rail. I don't even know how I missed that. Probably because they you can't find it if you search for it because it's one word, Burn Cycle.
Yeah, it's one word. Yeah,
that's not a good idea.
I know
that makes it very hard to search for.
Yeah. But shout out to the Carsons, man. Yeah.
All right. That's a powerful number 4. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I know they've made such a huge impact, and they have such a diehard following, definitely.
We're about to go into, I'm going to warn you, now we're going into the territory of solo designers, like designers that are solo stuff. So, like, now you're going to get, now we went all over the place, right, for me. Now we're getting to the core.
The heart of you as a gamer.
What I love. Like, you'll see it. Like, you'll see it right away. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, I would assume, Too Many Bones is a great solo game as well, right? I mean, do you love it mostly as a solo game?
Yes. I mean, they literally, the thing that was so great about their design was they built it from solo out. So it's a great cooperative game, but each character can be played solo, and there's just this mental puzzle of how you build your character optimally to address all these random scenarios that can happen. Some of them are not even like fighting one. Some of them are like you're playing a game against your other characters. Some of them you're like trying to do this challenge. It's more than just beat 'em up type games. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just a beat 'em up type of game or anything at all. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I got to put that back on my list of things to check out. All right. I do not disagree at all. All righty. So, we're getting to the heart for you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just continuing on because these are all near and dear to my heart, including my number 3. And this is probably my toughest one on the whole list. I am going to put down as my number 3 most exciting top designer right now, Simone Luciani.
Okay.
And the thing is, I could have just as easily put down Danielle Taschini. Or I could have just as easily put down anybody from their design group. Was it Akitoka, I think?
Okay.
Have you heard of Akitoka?
Yes, I've heard of that one. I haven't applied.
Yeah, because there's this group of insanely talented Italian game designers.
Yes.
They just keep year after year putting out the best Euros on the market. And if I would have just liked to sum them all up in one, but no, of all of them, breaking it down, the individuals. I mean, Akitoka is, I think, 4 specific full-time designers working together. It's kind of like an Italian version of Prospero Hall, except everything they do is made for me and Jen personally. But Simone, I think, overall won. I mean, he was there for Zolkin the Mayan calendar.
Yep.
He's there for Marco Polo. But oh my gosh, Grand Austria Hotel.
Yep.
We just played that recently because I had a prototype for the expansion that was on Kickstarter, and we fell in love with it all over again. Lorenzo Il Magnifico is one of the best dice worker placement games ever, as is Voyages of Marco Polo.
Yes.
And then he's done several other things that I all thought were very, very cool too. Council of Four, Dungeon Bazaar, Newton, Barrage is brilliant. Not for us, but it's brilliant. Oh man, that's such a dark heart at its center. It's such a mean game. And then we didn't get it this year. We were supposed to be getting Golem, but
that's all I'm waiting. That's literally all I'm waiting for. I'm like, I'm ready for this.
And presumably early next year, going on Kickstarter, we'll be seeing Darwin's Journey as well.
Darwin's Journey.
Yeah, it's such an insane pedigree. And again, I don't know where Simone stops and Daniele and and all the other ones start, but I think it was really, because Grand Austria Hotel in Lorenzo, he did both of those with one. I think I can't remember her name. Oh man, it's such an insane design group. In the end, I could have easily given it to any of them. Right. Nestor is in there too, or Nestore, but Simone Luciani is going to be the one that pops out the top. Even though that means I'm not giving it to Danielle Tassini, which means I'm not giving it to Kenu and Teotihuacan. And there's just so I don't know what they're pumping in the water down there in Italy for these insane designs. Just keep rolling off the tip of their tongue. It seems like. So, but I'll give it to Simone Luciani. He will get the award that I hope he shares with all of them.
So I clearly made a mistake. I almost, it would cause a seismic shift in my list right now.
Again, you just have to say this is your second opportunity to say goodbye to Martin Wallace. I think it was
Tassini has to be on there.
Wow. Okay. Is that it officially?
He has to be on there.
You are retroactively taking Martin Wallace out to make room for Danielle Tassini.
Are you kidding me? Takeno, you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. Honestly, I
when you say
we were going to have some overlap.
Did he design Trismegistus, right?
Yes. Tassini is Trismegistus as well.
You know what? I'm sorry, Martin. You got to go. There needs to be a shift.
Old man Wallace kicked to the curb.
They're so great. There's a lot of great designers, man. But this, he's made some recent stuff, and I'm just like, oh my God! Don't get me wrong. Trismegistus melted my mind, but
yes.
These other games are just holy crikey, man! Oh my gosh, all in. Man, what a designer! All right, totally speaks to me.
Let's go on ahead and stop, and we can start recording this whole thing again, so we can get it right the second time.
All right, no, there's actually a couple that are really fighting for the spot, and it was really hard. But really,
yes, what's your
the heart of Solo? The heart of Solo.
Yeah.
He is the heart of Solo, and that is David Turczi.
Sure.
Yeah, he is. He's been on so many designs, and his one that I think he's just the designer of I don't know what the effort was, but Anachrony is just
The Anachrony is him.
It's just
Anachrony, because I actually saw that game. He showed it to me because he's a friend of mine. Back when it was called, I forget, Time Inc. or something like that, because it was just a tiny little unassuming game where it was just it's simple worker placement, and you say, hey, future self, I need some gold bullion, and then suddenly it appears and you have to pay yourself later. And it was a simple little game, and he took it to Mind Clash, and Mind Clash says, we don't do simple little games here.
Simple games there.
Anything you ever thought about this game, we're going to put it in, and we need an additional 10 things, and then that's where you get Anachrony.
Yeah, I find him, I don't put it like this. When somebody says, well, he doesn't have any hits on his co-design, well, first of all, Anachrony stands on his own. Pause. Second of all, because I explained Anachrony as the perfect middleweight game. It is, to me, it's just the perfect middle. It's dead in the middle of, it is a great explanation. This is a medium game. Okay. It's a medium game, and it is one of the most thematic games. There's nothing like it. It's that is medium weight. The Chronobot in that game, that's a solo, is great. It's hard to beat every time. It has just enough unpredictability, even though you know the route of kind of how it will try to beat you, because there's so much stuff in there. There's so many tiles in there to play around with and stuff, and it just feels so great. But all even the ones he's just co-designed, if you call it co-design when somebody makes a solo mode only, when I see that in the box, it's just I know. That this has been tested well, it's not tacked on, and it's probably going to be great because he finds different ways to do it. And I don't even want to make a list of all the stuff he's done, but it's
but it's just in a very short time period, he has exploded. And
now,
like I mentioned, I'm sorry, go on.
And now he is starting to come out with his own titles with his name on the box. And this will be the true test of how great of a designer he is, right? I'm putting him there just as a solo mode designer, but now he's got, 6.
I think you've been missing out. He's done a lot of his own designs.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it just
Dice Settlers. If you haven't tried
like
that
Dice Settlers. Yeah, like I'm just saying, like he's gonna have like this run of like I am the designer. This is me. My name on the box, and he's really been, he's been his big self promoter, and he's got, he's got. Oh my God, sorry, but
me and him get together. Everybody assumes. Yeah, I mean, he can talk me under the, or out of the room. He's bigger and louder and more boisterous than me, and that's saying something.
It is.
Yeah.
He's saying something. I like that though. I like a guy. I like that kind of energy though. I like to be in that room with that energy. But yeah, it's just essential. He is the one you grab when you want the best.
Now that is interesting. I mean, you're right. He is, and the interesting thing about that, you probably know this. He'll be the first to say he's not much of a solo gamer himself.
No. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but he has cracked the code.
Isn't that crazy?
He understands how to do it. Even if he's not doing it for himself, he's doing it for you.
But he also they have a team too. Like there's a team for him like that he goes and they kind of work. You can tell it's not, you can tell it's him, of course, being the genius. Like Defense of the Prycon is like way whoa. Oh yeah, Perseverance is like whoa. I mean like
oh my gosh.
He has the mindset.
Perseverance 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, so it's like but you can tell that too. You can also tell it's like, hey, I'm not a one-laner, designer. And
that's what I was going to say. Because I mentioned that earlier, about John DeClaire. I mentioned about Vlada Chvátil. Yeah. I think more than anything else, the thing that really sets Dave Turczi aside is every new game he does, it's brand new. Yeah. He is not revisiting what he has done before. Yeah. I mean, all the way back to what he started with to what he's doing today, he's constantly, he's not resting on his laurels, and it's very, very impressive that way.
Yeah, he's just an impressive designer. Very interactive dude. I like that too. I want to
ask you something, but I might be revealing what's coming later on your list, so I won't. I might have to circle back around because there's another out there that could be argued as the king of the solo. So I'll wait to see if somebody else shows up. Yeah. So that's your number 3, right?
Yep.
All right. Although, who knows? Your entire list is blown out of the water because you haven't figured out where Tessini sits.
I know, man. I can't believe, oh my gosh, what a designer. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. I'm moving on to my number 2. I know you love him. I don't know if you love him as much as me. But, oh man. And actually, I was really surprised. He's done a bunch of games over the years, but it's only a small handful that have really catapulted, for me, Vladimir Suchy to the top. To my number 2 spot.
We have a discussion about Vladimir Suchy.
Yeah, this year, prior to Regni, 2 years ago, Underwater Cities. Prior to that, Last Will, and the Prodigals Club. But for me, it's always Last Will. Prodigals Club is nice, but I'm a Last Will kind of guy. Going all the way back to Shipyard, still one of the best Euro games I've ever played. And he's done a bunch of other stuff beside that I haven't played. But just those 4. Plus, I love the fact, he'd been working for other publishers for years. He eventually decided he and his wife will create their own publishing house, Delicious Games. They'll set out on their own. Yep. And unlike everyone else in the industry, he said, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're just going to put our money on the table. We're going to make the game because we believe in it, and we're going to sell it.
Yep.
And we're not going to do all this Kickstarter stuff. And I am perpetually, I'm so happy that they have been able to find success in our modern industry where if you're not on Kickstarter, it's very hard to get attention at all.
Yes.
And not only has he done that, but he's incredibly celebrated. I mean, Underwater Cities is one of the bigger, heavy or medium to heaviest Euros that have come out over the last couple of years. Everybody loves it, and I think as more people get Product Regni, which is only limited available because 2020 is 2020, for us, I think we like it even more than Underwater Cities, and Underwater Cities was already amazing. Vladimir Suchy is my number 2. Or Suhre, or Suchy. People always tell me I'm pronouncing it wrong, but folks who want to tell me you pronounce it wrong, Vladimir himself has said to me, pronounce it however you like. It's okay. I've heard it.
Okay, so there you go.
For those of you who are warming up your keyboards, waiting to tell me I'm saying it wrong.
Dear BGG.
I'm American. I pronounce it American style. I'm sorry.
Like I said, I'm looking down. The chat is going crazy right
What chat are you on? There's just a chat that follows you everywhere.
There's just a chat that follows me. Okay.
Right, so you don't have a problem with that.
I'm not a fan of Underwater Cities. I get killed for this wherever I go. It's just...
Explain yourself, sir.
It's not a bad... See? We're not going to get sidetracked. It's
okay. But this is not over.
To completely...
This will come up in the Alaboom, if nothing else.
It will come up in the Alaboom. I know it will, because everywhere when I say that, it's like, oh my gosh, I made Tom run off the camera.
Tom Vassell?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think Praga, when I played it for the first time on the Essence stream, I said,
and got destroyed, as I recall.
I said, this could be the game of the year. I was like, this is the best. I was like, this is the best design I've played this year. I played it right after Bonfire. Like, I was like, I think this is the best design that came out this year. Now, I had not played Whistle Mountain. I had not played the final copy of Dwellings of Eldorado because I knew it was great. I took some parts from the prototype and put it on my table today because I like this one piece from the prototype. But that's neither here nor there. But when I played that, when I played Praga, I was just like, who is this on the box? I was like, oh, hey, this is
the Underwater Cities guy?
This is great. So, like, if you are looking for his next game and you're a fan, let's just say that, like, I just feel like this game is just infinitely better. It's such a great game. It's a great game. That's how it's not like I have a personal thing against him. It's just like, now I know, okay, I can rock with this guy. And I actually don't think Underwater Cities is bad. It's just like, for me. Because it's like, okay.
I think you maybe were having a bad day or something.
I even bought the expansion, and I was like, it's just me. Okay, it's just me.
You're a weirdo.
I'm only one man.
But we love you. We love you.
I'm only one man, and I have that opinion. All right, here we go.
All right, then what beats Vladimir Suchy? Come on. What's your number 2?
Oh, man. It is Ignacy Trzewiczek. Okay? Ignacy.
Sure. Okay.
So like I said, I'm going to the roots of, so when I was coming back into gaming, there was one game that stayed on my table for weeks, if not months, and it was Robinson Crusoe. You know why? Because I'm a glutton for punishment, baby. I love adventure. Okay? I love adventure. I love unpredictable games. I like that feeling of pressure. I like all that. I just like a game that gives me riled up a little bit. If it's going to be an adventure, if it's going to be a one-hitter, one scenario, get me there. Make me feel like it's not going to happen. And whether it does or doesn't, I had a great time, and that's how I felt about Robinson Crusoe. Now, Imperial Settlers, good, was my good starter piece, in a sense, for card games in the board game industry, but I moved on, and then came... Now, actually, I should say this. So, what was it? 2019, right? So, I was coming past the booth. I had heard about Empires in the North.
Yeah.
I see Ignacy there. Haven't met this guy. I'm like, da-da-da-da. We get to talking. And then I go, I don't know why I felt compelled to say this. I never do this to people. And I was just like, I liked Imperial Settlers, but then it kind of died off to me. I wanted this, I wanted that. It wasn't that. He goes, oh, you have to play this game, Empires of the North. And he says... So
he says that a lot. He has said that to me in the past as well.
He comes over to me. He walks me through the game, and he explains like what he was thinking when he tried to change his designs and what it was. It's like one of my favorite card games. Like, I love this game.
It's a stunning design.
It's such a stunning design. And I almost felt like, he was trying to do too much with Imperial Settlers. And it can be argued that he's trying to do too much with Empires of the North. But every deck that I play in this design is just infinitely better. It doesn't feel tacked on. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to do something complicated for the sake of being complicated. There's actually a deck in there that's like really ridiculous, where it's like a negotiating deck in a game. As I'm saying, it could be ridiculous to you, but I love it. And this game, this guy he's just great. He's just responsible for 2 great games. If there is a game that's
he's responsible for a few more than that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, because of his designs, like, it's not like I like what's the other one? What's that one with the I like 51st State or whatever, but like what's the other one? Narushima Hex, that kind of that one design or whatever that was. I don't really like that one that much.
What about Pret?
What's that?
Pret-a-Porter, the high fashion.
Now I have not played Pret-a-Porter. That's the thing. I have not played that one. That's the one I haven't played, because when it did come out, I couldn't find it because I was like trying to search it down. And then when the new version came out, I just never got around to it. I will get there.
It came out at a busy time. Yes.
Yeah. So, and like now in the just being a content creator, like there's so many games that get thrown in front of me. So it's like sometimes even the games that I love from a certain designer, I don't even get a chance to play. But that just lets you know how great he is, how he stands on my own, because I started with that in a sense. So it's like Robinson Crusoe was like, other than Mage Knight, was my number 2 game at that time. Before I played Gloomhaven, it was the number 2. Now it's number 3. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. I think a lot of people would agree. Now, it's interesting. You actually talked to him about Empires of the North. I've always been curious. How much of that is him, and how much of that is his co-designer, Joanna?
So that's the thing. Like I don't know. Like that's the thing. I don't want to give him. I should have said that too. Don't want to give him all the credit because he is not first to say like it's all me either. Yeah. Because I do follow. I'm sorry I didn't say that because that's another thing.
I got you covered, buddy.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm actually serious. I really slipped up and said that because she does a lot of the plays, explaining the decks and things like that.
Yeah.
Portal does a really great job of highlighting their designers, the development team. They play stuff on their YouTube page and stuff all the time.
Yep.
And she's there, and he's just
she's very front and center with that
like,
game.
I'm not,
definitely.
Like I shouldn't have done it, but it's like
I always kind of had the impression that maybe she knew Ignacy or she was already an employee of the company and said, Mr. Trzewiczek, yes, it was very nice, but have you ever considered making these changes? And Ignacy said, "You got something, kid." Or I don't know. I have no idea, but that's always kind of how I imagine. I don't know how much of it is her versus him, but I was just curious if you had the inside scoop.
I'm sorry, and you're very correct. I just feel like I should always give women credit to designers because they don't get enough credit, and that's true. Now, I will say this too, though. I am a defender of First Martians, which was an absolute disaster.
Really?
But
okay, good for you.
Because it was, like I said, we have these designers where it's like they put them in the same mindset or type of game, and we kind of pigeonhole them a little bit. And this game was an absolute disaster when it started. But they supported it for months, and they figured out the FAQs. They figured out how to streamline it. They used the app to get people up and running, and it became a really good design. It's a solid game. It's been in and out of my collection. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think it's coming back one more again. It's just it's a good game, and I just think that the reviews were really bad. And rightfully so, and the people move on because of the way the industry is built. And but I did not. I kept coming back to it, and just because it got to where it was supposed to be. It's almost like Robinson, not the level of Robinson Crusoe, but it was like the difference between first edition.
Well, it is Robinson Crusoe in space.
Right.
Basically.
I'm just saying, like it's almost like it's not this great though, but it's like the difference between Robinson Crusoe first edition and second edition. It's just like. I don't even know how people played the first edition. So it's like that kind of idea. It's like it started out so bad, and then they had a good premise, and this one kind of got, like I said, it got better as they supported it even more. So, yeah.
Have you, he also reinvented himself in a pretty big way recently with Detective.
Yes.
Have you tried that?
Yes.
I would think Detective is very solo-friendly, right?
Yes, it is very solo-friendly. It's also going to take up a lot of your time. You want to feel like a detective on your own. Boy, buddy, you better lay out your table and get ready. It's almost too much, but I was going to do this one right here. This one that just came out. This one, as you can see, I keep his games very close to me. But I was going to try this one out. Right away, like literally, like I keep them very close to me. They're right here, right next to my right arm, right here, because he's one of my favorite designers, Ignacy.
I will now, as an aside to the audience, say I have no idea what he's got because we couldn't quite get his tech set up. I'm only listening to him. What are you showing?
Sorry, I was showing Detective Season 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Detective Season 1. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got Robinson Crusoe. I got the Mystery Tales. I have the Campaign. I have Detective right here. Empires of the North. All right next to my right arm. They're just like I can reach over there.
They're never far.
They're never far. And
I guess the Stronghold you probably never touched because it's not solo at all.
No, it's just that one. Like, there's certain designs I'm just like, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not opposed.
It is too bad there's not a solo mode for Stronghold. That would be amazing. Mm-hmm. In all honesty, I don't think it would be very hard to do. In fact, somebody must have. He must have
somebody
done a solo expansion.
One. Somebody had to make up one. Check it out so I can go buy it.
Yeah. Now that I think about it. But according to BGG, it's still officially a two-player game.
But the thing is
that's a huge missed opportunity there. That's a ginormous missed opportunity to expansion for that, to turn that into a solo game. That would be, I think you would love it as a solo game.
So that's the thing. Like, what you're hearing from me is a little bit of both, right? Like it's not all solo, but as we get to the core, there are things inside of me because I'm actually where I started. I didn't have a game group when I started. I didn't have like all that stuff, and my wife was not into games. There's a different levels to how people are into games, right? And the people outside of the hobby, they go like, yeah, let's play a game. They, like, let's play the card game. Let's play this and that. And once you get to the multi-layer card games, it gets a little harder or whatever. But yeah, like I was on my own. I was in my basement playing dungeon crawlers, big campaign games, and then kind of trickling out. I think Mage Knight is the reason why I really got deep into the hobby because it asked a lot of you. Like it asked a lot of different mechanics of you, and that's how I knew that I really liked board games because everything else seemed so much simpler for a while. But you're going to see my number one. You know who I am.
Almost there.
You know who I am.
First, my number one. Is the latest hotness. And by the way, my number one for the record is Stefan Feld. It was my number one 5 years ago. It would be my number one still. That's beside the point. Don't need to belabor. But my new. Originally, I was actually going to try and mix and match, and Feld was in my number one, and there were some holdovers and new stuff in. My current number one on this list would have been my number two. He is at this point only supplanted by Stefan Feld, who's my favorite designer of all time. And he's my number one of this updated, most excited, favoriteest designers of the day, Alexander Pfister.
Okay.
Pfister. Mr. Pfister has not let me down. Maracaibo is such the bee's knees. I will love it forever. But I mean, a Great Western Trail for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it's Mombasa or Isle of Skye. I love the OMG verse. The Oh My Goods, and Newdale and Tybor the Builder. Yep. I love his tiny, fast little games that he was doing for that board game museum for a few years that ended up giving us Port Royal. He just keeps knocking it out of the park. And what I appreciate more than anything else, and I've talked about this with some of the, like Ryan Laukat and whatnot, he seems to be on this mission to bring narrative structures and storytelling into Euros. I love that to pieces. I know some people dismiss it out of hand, but for me, it is genuinely, he is, by pursuing this agenda, the future of the industry, or at least of the industry of types of games that I care about. And I so appreciate it, and everything he does, I want to see how is he going to push that agenda in the game after that. I mean, unfortunately, I think Cloud Age is out in Germany right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to track one down. I've been trying to get one early. They're out of stock. Like I think they actually sold through all their print runs. So wherever these games are, that's it for a while. Because I can't go to DLP to get one. I can't. Like they just don't have any.
Yeah. But I've even when they haven't quite been for us, I've still been very, very happy to play. And then so many of them have just been knockouts. I mean, I know Blackout Hong Kong didn't hit for everybody, but we thought it was amazing.
It's still good.
Yep. And there's just something about this guy's brain. Considering the insane list of successes he has had, whenever you say whatever's coming next, that's going to be my number one must-play game of that time frame.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the Maracaibo expansion. I've heard rumors of some stuff he's working on from some people, and if in fact that happens, I am beside myself with anticipation and excitement, but I was sworn to secrecy, so I can't say it. But that was a couple of years ago, so maybe it didn't happen. But anyway, I still won't say it, because I take my swears to secrecy seriously. Alexander Pfister is the bee's knees. He's my number one. He's my new Feld.
Interesting. Yeah. I do like a lot of his games. I do tend to like a lot of his games. I don't like his theme choices, but I do like a lot of his games.
Understandable, yeah.
And he has. You're so right when you say that he is trying to do this story with cards. Oh My Goods is a perfect example of that. But like his last one, Expedition in Newdale, I saw where it was going. Maracaibo, why did it have a campaign? No. He's trying to do something and involve this stuff. Yes, it might just be with cards, but if you really dig into it, you feel it over time in the gameplay. It's not like he's writing these big stories. You feel it in the gameplay. And if you're on the ride for the theme, you'll start to get it. Whether you want that or not, whether you want it in your game or not, right?
Yeah.
Because you can just dismiss it as card, right? You can just dismiss it as cards if you want. That's all. That's you. That's the difference between you and me, as I always say. That's the difference between you and me. But he's a great designer. Interesting enough, we had an interaction because I had some feedback on Maracaibo. Oh yeah. And he actually like responded directly to me and reached out to me, and we had a really good discussion about it. And I think we probably have to talk about that game offline just to make sure. But I think I was gonna say I think he kind of pitched something to me that was coming, and I was like, oh wow, that actually sounds, So yeah, he's just a really great mind. Like you said, always got to check out his designs just to see. Yeah. Very few. He's one of the very few designers where you don't question, you just try and play.
That's why it's on my list. Yeah. Exactly.
One of the few. He's one of the few. One of a handful. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. You all ready for this?
Are you ready for this?
All right. What do you got? What's the number?
This is not hard. There's no comparison to Vital Lacerda. There is no comparison.
Vital was on my list 5 years ago.
Vital is the best designer of board games.
Wow.
Really, just really not.
No, putting in the caveat for my taste. That's just period. You are
whatever. You can have.
That is the mountain you were going to die on.
You can have your opinion. That's what I said. Like I just love. He gets me. He gets me.
Okay.
He just gets me. That's the thing. It's through an interesting thing about him is that he's found a theme in this dry stuff that he makes. He found some theme. It works sometimes. It doesn't the other times. I'm taking a look at this. You know what I started with? This is what I started with. I started with a gallerist.
Which is probably Jen's favorite of his games.
Think about coming into board games and being like, hey, we're going to make a game about promoting artists for points. We're going to make a game about helping a rising star and and like trying to help him show off his stuff so we can promote him or her. No. I'm coming to the hobby. I want to play fun games with aliens and stuff. No, I really signed up for it, and then that was it. Like I went on a journey with the designs, and like Lisboa, I remember reading the pamphlet that was their player aid, and like like all these different things, and it's just like somehow, some way, he's found this beautiful relationship with Ian O'Toole. And then he's also found, and he's just done a great job of making really interesting designs. I love them every time. On Mars is one of my top games of this year, and even Escape, like I'd love to talk to people about Escape Plan because I was like, he did something. He took a risk with his fans, and either you were either on board or not. I get it. I totally get it. It's a divisive game amongst his fans, his hardcore fans, because it's too accessible. It really is. It's too accessible for his designs. Like he tried to do something that was very light compared to what he usually puts out.
Yeah, on his scale.
Right.
Because most would consider it still to be one of the heavier games that came out that year. Yeah.
And and then he tried to go embrace more of a theme. Like
no, I don't know what you're talking about. That he is a very thematically driven designer.
He is. I just like
Or do you mean he tried to embrace a less crunch or a less dusty theme?
Yeah, and it's just like I know it didn't work for people because it was like I'm trying to defend Escape Plan. I'm not going to defend Escape Plan. What I'm saying is I'm trying to pitch a meeting like, no, Escape Plan is great. Don't do that, because I'm only one man. But yeah, I just think he's become impenetrable. Like I just feel like he knows what I like. I love to know that I have 4 actions and 17 other actions that are possible. Like that
will explode from that one choice you will make based on those 4 things.
Exactly. It's like
he's the master of that.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be the first to say, "No, my games are very simple. Look at you play one of these 3 cards. That's it. That's the only. No, come on, Vital. You play one of these 3 cards because they will unlock this thing over there that gives you the stuff you need to pump into that, so that in 3 turns you can do this. And it's they're absolutely. The permutations that come out of those very simple core decisions are insanely complex and Byzantine. And I think. He is very strongly thematically driven, more so than pretty much any other Euro designer on the market. And he has always struck me as, what would it look like if an old school Ameritrash designer decided to make Euros instead? Okay. Because Ameritrash games typically have a bajillion rules and things to keep track of because they're trying so hard to replicate, I don't know, Arkham Horror or whatever, all the, and he goes that extra mile to replicate everything about the car manufacturing process or the gallery running business or, vineyard growing or whatever. And so they're so full of things and they're simple, elegant games, but because every choice is so laden with consequence and so many knock-on effects, because he models everything in his games.
My joke with him would be, I always say like, so how many executive actions are in this game? So like, it's a thing. It's like, what's his name? What's his name? The designer of Forum Trajanum and what's his name?
Feld.
Yeah, I always say with Feld, if you are the first player, you automatically get 10 points for placing your first worker. Like, it's like, they score points for everything, So it's just like certain designers, they have their thing, and he has his executive actions. I always say, yes, a ton of things you can do off 3 basic things, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that, having that option. The solo modes that he makes are really solid. And that was really the reason why I got into it. I have these big Euros on my table that can be used many different ways, and I've enjoyed every way I've played them. Even with On Mars, which I thought was kind of, it was kind of like the solo mode was not as great as his other ones.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I just appreciate his designs. I just really do, from top to bottom.
Yeah. I think that's an unimpeachable number one choice.
Mm-hmm. I'm not willing to accept any other offers, by the way. That's my opinion.
We made it.
If you know,
we are. I think an hour and a half, something like that.
I know.
Minus the time for that drop we had, where you confirmed. Hopefully, you haven't run out of hard drive space again.
No, we're good.
Interestingly, my earpiece just said low battery in my ear, so now I'm about out.
Okay. Wow.
All right. So I think the universe is speaking. We are done, sir.
Okay.
But that was a great list. I can't really fault any of those decisions.
Yeah.
I love that I forced you to call an audible halfway through.
I know.
That was excellent as well. I really expected some crossover. I guess the closest we have is Luciani and Tessini because they are so at the hip.
Good. I didn't put Keith Matake on there. I didn't put Dave. I put down David Short. Matthew Dunstan. I love his stuff. It's just certain designers. I'm just like, man, there's so many. Even what's his name, Justin Jacobson, and I love that team because they gave me, I love those guys over there at Restoration Games because they gave me Unmatched, and now it's like one of my favorite card games ever. So it's just like, there's a lot of really good newer Johnny Mac, Johnny Pack.
Johnny Pack.
It's just
Johnny Pack is another one of my up and comers that I have listed on that.
What am I doing, right? What are we
Folks
doing
won't
here?
be able to see.
So. A lot of really great designers. I mean, I didn't put Eric Lang on there, because I'm becoming an Eric Lang fan. Mm-hmm. I'm becoming an Eric Lang fan. He's such a good person.
Oh, sure, totally.
But I'm becoming.
And I think
he's
a good designer. He just doesn't make games for me.
Yeah.
I think the closest I ever came to really loving one of his games was XCOM, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, and I thought XCOM was building, but Cthulhu
it was not brilliant
Die.
For 2 players.
Cthulhu Death May Die is absolute fun. It's the most ridiculous fun I've ever had. Like, it's just like, I can't even understand. I don't even know why I like that game. I love that game. I never thought I loved just a dice chucker like that, but gosh, I'm becoming a fan of his games. Yeah, a lot of games out there, man.
All right, folks. Well, if people want to hear more from you, how do they find you?
Oh, well, they can find me on social media under Jeremy Howard. I'm in a lot of board game groups. I share a lot of photos and things that I'm doing. Not that you care or don't care. It's not like I'm some big deal. But I also do solo playthroughs with Man vs. Meeple called Solo Sundays. It's at 3 p.m. Central Standard. I will be moving that stuff from our Facebook page, which was every Sunday on our Facebook page. I'll be moving it over to our YouTube page, and I hope that you join me.
That's what I was just going to ask,
yeah,
because I subscribe to them on YouTube, but not on Facebook.
So you'll see me on there. Join me. I'm a lot more. I always say I'm a lot more entertainment than the board game. I hope, and I have a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot of emotion from turn to turn. I take losses like a champ. Sometimes I wear shades. Sometimes I wear a helmet. It doesn't matter. I do whatever I feel. I'm an only child. I can be creative as I want to at this point. But yeah, I hope you join me. You can see me. You may see me or hear from me on other podcasts and such. Because I like doing
you're just jumping
stuff.
all over the place these days.
I just like to do that kind of stuff.
You're everywhere.
Yeah, community, man. Community and just just chit chatting. I have a voice, and thankfully people want to hear it. Thankfully.
All right. Well, cool. Then that is it, folks. And I'm going to say thanks once more to Jeremy for joining me today,
thank you,
going
man.
on this journey with me. Maybe we'll do it again in 5 years.
How about that?
Yeah. And otherwise, folks, have a very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.
Take care, party people.
Boom. I'm going to hit the stop recording button now.
I'm going to as well.